Hey everybody, this is Merrick coming at you not live, bringing another figure review. Or, it's not really a review, not in the typical sense. This is more or less like a disclaimer, video review, I guess, of this figure that has caused a lot of people a lot of confusion or I don't want to say confusion, people just trying to not even fear monger. People are just afraid of potential QC later down the line on this guy because of his design, and I kind of want to quell some of those fears with this. So here today I bring you the Transformers Legacy of the Primes. That was a fumble. Age of the Primes. Sorry. Because this is the Legacy line. Or no, not even... Oh my god. Yeah, all of it's blending together. That's been a pain in the... Oh my god, that's going to be a pain in the ass later. But, as I corrected myself, this is the Age of the Primes Quintus Prime. One of the 13 primes, and as far as I'm aware, the only prime that has caused quite the disturbance in the fandom. And I'm honestly here to just kind of calm some of those thoughts down. And this is not me going, oh, be kind to the multi-billion-dollar corporation. No, it's just me going, I think people are a little too scared that stuff's going to break on them when it's not. Trust me on this. Just take care of your figures. That's all I have to say. If you want to keep them looking nice, take care of them. You want to mess around? That's perfectly fine. They're toys. They're meant to be played with. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Here we have Quintus Prime as he appears in... I'm not entirely sure. This is just I presume, an evergreen-ish design. Something that they kind of did to capture a lot of aspects of Quintus that can't be captured in multiple figures, so they just decided to throw a lot of them into one. And you can tell by his name he has some very important aspects to him in relation to a lot of other Cybertronian and other cyber-ish life forms out in space. Of course, being connected to the Quintessons in some way with that name. And on top of everything, too, his Ember Stone, which is his thing, is what brings sort of life to Transformers. Or, it's not that it brings life, because it's the spark, but it brings or creates new life from itself. It's hard to explain because all of the prime artifacts do something of similar relation. It basically just brings an aspect of what we call a modern transformer into being. It's what all of the primes do. That's not really super important. I mean, in the lore it's important, but it's not really super important in the grand scheme. But here we have him, and he looks pretty fucking sleek. I love the green paint. Green's one of my favorite colors, and we don't get a lot of green and purple Transformers together, in terms of color scheme. But I really like that they did some accents with the purple here, the purple there, and the different tones of green give a nice implied detail effect with the different plastics and whatever paint they were able to scrape together to put on this guy for whatever budget that they're running here. Now, that being said, we're going to get into the problems, or the perceived problems with him as we go on. But right now, this is going to be the appreciation part of this video. Something that I really do enjoy is his head sculpt. So it's very Bionicle-esque and very gloopy alien-y. Just to say. He's got little nostril holes, and he looks like he's a fucking alien, and 4 unique eyes. And on the back of his beautiful, beautiful head is a I don't want to say holographic. That might be a better thing. A holographic bit that will help with light piping. And you could sort of see they went all out with light piping on this dude. Like, he is the light pipe figure, it feels like. There's light piping here, there's light piping in the chest, because you can see on the back here, this is a nice hollow, so you could probably shine a light through the bottom, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, because it's not going to look great on camera. I don't have a light switch, like, right next to me that I can, like, you know, click, 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 turn on and off so we can see it better in the dark. But what we have here is some really neat light piping on the level of... I'm not even sure. I'm like trying to think of, like, the only other light piping figures that I know about outside of Transformers are my my astromech droids and such. So I wanted to say that, but I'm like, no, that'd be wrong, because they're not. It's very basic light piping there, but bleh. Even down to his legs here, which are molded in what nobody ever said, as far as I'm aware, soft plastic, soft rubbery plastic that's partially see-through, so you can get some nice light piping out of here too. And it just kind of like flips all the way up to here with some nice scrounged together paint detailing on these tentacles. I love the gradient, the dark going into the light. It's so good. It's so good. And it makes his, like, alt mode really fucking cool and interesting to look at, especially when we mess around with the light piping. So, Quintus Prime, as I said, is very alien in design, connection to the Quintessons, all that other jazz. And that's what makes him so unique and special, is that, like, he's not really a fighter. He's more of, like, the scholarly kind of Transformer. And we don't really get a lot of those. And he is dubiously a good guy, I think. I mean, I wouldn't want to be fighting against him, and because he's like a knowledge seeker, at least in my view. He's close to Eldritch, you know, Cthulhu, all that jazz, especially because of what he turns into. And because of that fact that he's not really a fighter, he doesn't come with any accessories other than the Ember Stone, which is sealed in his chest here. And in all fairness, if there's some criticism I can actually, if there's like some really big criticism I can actually put, I don't like the Ember Stone being in his chest the way it's done, because it pops out if you have like the backpack open, and I'm not even going to go into that. I'm not even going to try to do that, because there's really no point in removing the Ember Stone from his chest, because most of his quote-unquote combat functionality could kind of be solved by his little extra arms. Yay! The little extra arms that don't really, like, I don't want to say they don't pose, because they don't have a lot of posing. They're just little extra tentacles. He's got little armpit arms that go, like, you know, and you can just sort of move them around. Whoop, hold on. Yeah, you flip them around like that, right? Move them around. And they have little pegs you can plug blast effects into if you want to have him shoot with them. So he's got implied built-in weapons, stuff that a lot of, like, classic robots in disguise I would hope would need. They flip-flop on that all the time. But I really like that he has that, and they just kind of, like, you know, go against his sides like that. It gives him a nice, elegant look, and it makes for a neat surprise when you're able to just kind of, like, pull that out maybe in a scene or something. But either way, let's get on to the thing I want to calm people down about. So, we're mostly glazing this figure right now. But this isn't really like I'm taking the glaze off. And I really dig this design. This is going to be guys, please calm down about worrying here, because I don't think we have much to worry about in the grand scheme. So, I'm just going to lift his arms up again. That's going to be important for his transformation. Again, I don't really talk about Transformers without being able to transform them. So, good thing I'm able to transform them, because it's not too bad. And that's going to play into my argument here. So, I'm going to transform him, and I'm going to, like, show off the problems here. So, when we move up his waist capes and tentacles and all that, I really like the fact that they gave him, like, two front flappy ones. We can see that his legs are made of dun 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 translucent plastic. And in Transformers figures, this can be a nightmare. Or is it? At least in this case. Now, okay. Hear me out. He's not really going to pose a lot. And I found out that his transformation isn't that super labor intensive. So it's not as if it's going to damage these translucent plastic pieces. Could they have gone with something better than translucent plastic for the legs? Probably. Especially because the feet are fully translucent and these are made up of translucent parts with non-translucent parts. But could they have done something? Yes. But honestly, I think he looks better with these translucent legs and feet. It gives, again, if I was to pull the Ember Stone out, it's more than likely hollow, the way it's like sort of done. But you can sort of see with the light piping that the way things like glow and shit, it gives like a cool radiant effect. And this is giving me like a cool vibe. Like I can see a skeleton inside there. Well, there's probably not. And then his legs are kind of like translucent, like Spooky Boo or whatever. It gives him like half ethereal vibes, and it sells that cosmic horror-esque look to it. So what we're going to do now, though, I'm just going to show off the transformation because, again, it's not super labor-intensive on the legs. So you flip these up. Now, granted, there are pegs up here that these plug into. So you can just be as gentle or as not gentle as you want with that. It really just comes down to, like, what's going to happen with the figure. So, yeah, you click those in like that. All right, once those are down, you flip these up like so. Again, not super labor intensive. Very simple transformation. It's not as if he's a masterpiece figure with panel after panel after panel of detail. So, now, here's the other part of this that can be fun or not here. So, you can have his feet set up like that, or you can have them down like that. It really doesn't matter how they do. They're supposed to be like the feeder arms of a squid or cuttlefish. But yeah, once you have the legs up like that, you flip these down. There's pegs that these will plug into. Like so. It's not a super tight or snug fit, but thankfully this translucent plastic... Thankfully the softer plastic is nice and malleable, so it'll go right in and not be super like rough on the joint. Again, it's a very nice like touch and feature. Something, again, not to super worry about with this figure. But yeah, you bring all of the tentacles down on the sides and on the back, and then plug into the back there too, which are going to be hard to see. But here we go. We have the sort of front end or arm end of the squid, and well, okay. So now here's the here's the part that I actually find difficult and a little more bothersome, as it were. So these is kind of like to plug in. I think as I've done it, it's gotten like easier to remove them. But yeah, you plug his arms in like that. Those little arm cufflink things. You could probably like do this in robot mode too to give it the illusion of giving him a weapon. But you don't have to if you don't want to. That's the magic of it, right? So you flip his arms up like so. His head just stays there. You flip his arms up. Boom. Whoop. Uh-oh. Whoop. Hold on. You flip his arms up like that. You bring them over his head like he's going to do a big old thunderclap over his head. And you connect them like so. And... oh, hold on. I almost forgot the other not so important part. So, if you've noticed, the little arms have pegs. They plug right into his chest there. And booyah kasha, you have yourself a spaceship squid, or a space squid. This, I think, will actually go... Oh, almost forgot an important step. Turn this around like that. Boom. There we go. There, little friend. Good as new. We have a space squid. or a spaceship squid. I have a feeling this was going to go well with the whale shockwave. So yeah, you got a little spaceship squid, huh? And again, the transformation is not super labor intensive, so I wouldn't worry about those legs breaking. And in all fairness, if they do, these kind of make up for it. Now, it's no excuse. It is fucked up that the figure breaks, but let me give you some fair shots here. Most people, like, unless you're a kid throwing this thing against the wall, of course it's gonna break. Playtime, things break. It happens, right? But this doesn't compromise the figure at all. Because, one, having the translucent plastic doesn't make it any less fragile out the gate. Maybe in time, yeah. But out the gate, out the jump, it's not going to be like, little Timmy's going to be like, ah! Banging him against the wall. And then, his foot snaps off. And, you got to be... Little Timmy's probably going to be playing with him if the foot snaps off anyway, but it is what it is, right? However, what I wouldn't worry about is the fact that, like, one, he's able to stand up even with the legs missing. So, again, not an excuse, but I don't think it's going to be too bad of a thing. Now, I've heard in the past that, like, this soft rubbery plastic has a problem being in, like, super hot weather. The thing about that, though, is most houses are temperature regulated, so it's not going to be a problem unless it's, like, super exposed to direct heat or something like that. Hell, I have a few things made out of, like, similar rubbery plastic that has lasted for fucking years out of the box. And again, even in my room, which the temperature fluctuates like crazy, it stayed like that good. So, that being said too, these images of the space squid conjure in my mind something like a Mass Effect Reaper. We are the harbinger of your destruction, Shepard. And here, I couldn't help but bring out my beast box here. Oh, I'll help bring out my beast box squid real quick to show the comparison. And this guy is made up of more, like, translucent plastic and spots. Or not even, like, he's got, like, translucent plastic and spots in the face, too. But this is, like, different levels of squid. Can I zoom out? And can I zoom out and make it look good? No, I can't zoom out. When I'm filming, I can't zoom out, unfortunately. But it's like different levels. And this doesn't really have, like, light piping, unfortunately. But I like the fact that we have two sort of levels of Robo Squid here. Now, before we go, I might as well show off the light piping real quick. But again, I might as well show off the light piping real quick, because this light piping is pretty cool. Okay, so from the front here, I'm just going to show squid mode. So the thing I like about... Oh, that actually looks really cool on camera. So the thing I like about the squid mode with the light piping is that it lights the ember stone up, which lights the whole area inside up. Like, that looks so fucking cool, especially on camera. It's stuff like that is really cool, especially because on the front of the bot, when you shove the light piping through, it looks so basic and boring. It's like regular light piping, but then hidden secret. This is why I'm never removing the ember stone. It's just, look at that. Like, oh, that is such a cool effect. That is such a cool effect with the light piping. The designers of this figure were cooking when they came up with that. So I'm just going to quick transform him off screen because, again, super simple. Just revert, like, you can reverse that, like, thing and it'll be back to normal. There, little friend. Good as new again. I really do enjoy this figure. This is like a neat little toy. And I'm like, again, I'm not gonna worry about like the crazy like, oh, the legs are gonna be like that or whatever. I mean, I'm not even gonna transform the legs. I'm just gonna leave him like tiny. We're gonna have tiny Quintus for the rest of this real quick. So the last bit of the light piping. So here he is if he was like in proverbial robot mode. Yeah, the chest lights up, and then it's hard to do with the head, but oh, he's got 6 eyes. Oh wow, I never noticed that. Neato. Neato burrito. That light piping. Oh jeez, this beautiful, beautiful light piping. And I especially do, I really do appreciate a figure like this because we don't get a lot of, like, non-combatants. Hell, so some of his contemporaries, like, here's another of the 13. So he's another non-combatant, really. I mean, sort of, because he does come with, like, he has a tank mode he can enter, and his staff can turn into a pickaxe or jet hammer, whatever you want to call it. And I guess you could, like, pull that out and turn that into a gun, but, again... He's not really mainly a combatant. He's just a guy that can transform into many different things. And just for some contemporaries here by comparison, here's Brawl, another robot that's just covered in guns. And good old fucking hell. Good old Big Prime or Big Convoy, whatever you want to call him. He's got, like, missile pods built into his shoulders, Gatling guns in the mammoth legs, and half his beast mode is dedicated to just becoming this huge fucking cannon. Nah, we don't get, like, we don't normally get, like, humble figures like these. So I'm kind of glad that we got Quintus Prime, Alchemist Prime, and other somewhat non-combatant-y Transformers normally, because it builds on the collection, it builds on the fiction, it lets you play around with, like, if you're, like, a more creative type, I guess, it lets you play around with, like, some of, like, the cool stuff that the series can have without it being, like, conducive to Autobots fight the Decepticons, boom! You can have a simpler time of peace. And I think that's what really attracted me to Quintus, outside of the fact that he's a giant, like, Cthulhu space robot squid. Also, apologies, I'm transforming his legs. I'm transforming his legs back. And I also, again, I wanted to make this too because I wanted to quell some worries about this figure, because I don't think that it's going to, the future of this figure isn't going to be as bad as people make it out to be. And then on top of that too, never forget they have the mold. So they can always get, if you're not a fan of this one, they'll probably make, like, one that you're more in line with, like, color scheme wise and other such. So maybe we will get one without those translucent legs if it worries you that much. Because at the end of the day, the important part is if you, the viewer, want this figure or not. Don't take my word for it that it's good. Like, if you want to get it, based off of pictures, whatever, you have it, get it because of that. Get it because you want it, not because somebody tells you to get it or want it. I'm here to just quell some worry. And I'm here to appreciate a really nice figure when I see one. And that's the thing about it. Never forget that, guys. Just get something because you want it. Don't get it because, oh, like, everybody's saying this is a good figure. I've skipped out on good figures because I just didn't care for it. And that's the important part. It saves you money. It gets you the things that you want to get. And it personalizes your own collection. So, at the end of the day, if you don't want Quintus, don't get Quintus. But don't worry about those legs. There's a lot more to this guy than meets the eye, like the old saying goes. Quintus Prime is a good figure. And I think that more than likely they're going to release one with different color schemes or do retools and such too. We're going to get something of this mold that doesn't require the, we're going to get something with this mold that doesn't require those translucent legs if that is really such a bother to people. But based off of how collectors treat their stuff, based off of the way I've experienced my own personal collections, I don't think we've got much to worry about Quintus in the future. Those parts aren't going to degrade like overnight, and they're not going to disintegrate upon touch. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for joining me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Merrick out. See you guys.